A boy who wanted to be a Cinderella. Chapter 2. The Lake and the Stranger. Time flew by, and Ivo had grown into a gentle, kind-hearted and sincere young man of 18. His fair skin still carried a slight pink hue, and he remained a little shy, not too tall, and often kept to himself. Unlike other young men his age, who eagerly sought out potential wives, Ivo had no interest in finding one. Despite this, he was constantly approached by ladies in town who showed great interest in him. Known for his kindness and natural empathy, as well as his intelligence and education, he was admired by many. However, by now, Ivo had come to the painful realization that finding his prince would never be possible. He understood the expectations of society, the rigid roles of gender, and what was deemed acceptable in the kingdom. He could not even remember the last time he had dared to say aloud that he wanted a prince instead of a princess. Yet deep down, he still hoped, just a little, that one day he might find someone who would enjoy his company. He knew the chances were slim, so slim that he had quietly resigned himself to the idea of living alone for the rest of his days. When he tried to recall his last encounter with the blue fairy, he could no longer tell if it had been real, or just a childhood dream. Ivo was grateful, at least, that his family, his sisters and parents, had never pressured him to find a wife. It was almost an unspoken understanding, a quiet acceptance of who he was. He was still somewhat naive about the world, but his heart was pure. He sacrificed for others not because he needed validation, but because love and respect came naturally to him. One of Ivo's greatest joys was taking long walks early in the morning. He had discovered a secret oasis, a place hidden away from the rest of the world. It was covered in wildflowers, with a lake overlooking the city, and in the summertime he loved to swim there. When it was just him, the water, the sun, and the distant hum of insects, the world felt still. In those moments he felt safe, he felt happy. Like any other summer morning, Ivo made his way to the lake for a quiet, refreshing swim. The sky stretched above him like silky blue fabric, the sun warm against his skin. As he floated in the gentle water, his eyes half closed in bliss. Splash! A sudden wave crashed against him, pushing him backward toward the rocky bank. Before he could react, a young man, about his age, emerged from the water and reached for him, gripping his arm firmly and pulling him close, afraid Ivo might hit the rocks. "Are you okay?" The stranger's voice was warm, his expression filled with concern. "I'm so sorry." "Oh, hello," he grinned, bright and carefree. Ivo blinked, momentarily stunned. "Hi, my name is George. How are you? Are you here alone?" The young man had slightly darker skin and broad shoulders, still holding Ivo's arm as if to steady him. Ivo thought, what a handsome young man. George, with his big, curious eyes, smiled again. "Are you sure you're okay?" Snapping back to reality, Ivo quickly nodded, feeling embarrassed. "Yes, I'm fine. I just wasn't expecting anyone to be here." He gently pushed George's arm away and swam backward, putting a little space between them. George chuckled. "Oh, did I intrude?" He playfully splashed some water at Ivo's face. "Hey, stop that, we just met," Ivo protested, laughing despite himself. "Exactly, and you haven't even told me your name yet," George teased, splashing more water at him. Ivo splashed back and finally answered, Ivo John Smith." George burst into laughter. "How formal, and here we are, both pretty much naked in the water. No need for such formalities." Ivo couldn't help but smile. This was the first time in a long while that he felt so light-hearted.